You are now tuned in to HBCU Live with National Alumni Council President Anthony H. Brown and Common Black College Application founder Robert Mason and producer Tia Mache Johnson. This is not just a show, it's an experience. It's a conversation with intention, purpose, and focus. So for the next hour, join us here on HBCU Live.
We're live.
Hey everybody, welcome. You know what? Usually I was waiting for the sound video and the music and all that.
I had to get all this together, so I couldn't load up my video. But we will have it ready before we go out.
There you go. Okay.
It'll be on the YouTube version of this show in a little bit. So hey everybody, I'm Anthony Brown. Welcome to another edition of HBCU Live. It's not just a show.
It's an experience.
I know, right? So I'm Anthony Brown. I got Robert Mason here. I got Tia Mache, and we got our good friend Mike White. But before we talk to Mike, we wanted to say hello to all of our viewers again. Like you know how we always do. You gotta hit the like button, hit all those icons right down there at the bottom. You see them, you know them, you love them. I need you to hit those buttons. I need you to let us know how we're doing. That's how we communicate back and forth. Now listen, we have had some kind of weeks these past few weeks. Now we haven't been able to, we haven't seen y'all in a while. How y'all doing, first of all? How are y'all doing? Robert, no, really, how are you doing? You down in Atlanta?
I am fantastic. Now, we've had a difficult week or so here in Atlanta, but I am so proud of our mayor, of all that she has done to galvanize the community, to sort of be at the head of this thing and to provide some real leadership, which is what we need.
The first video when Keisha said, "Take y'all black doctor home." That's what she said. Now, she ain't what she said, but y'all know what she said. You know, she was somebody's mama, somebody's auntie, somebody's grandmama. She said, "Go home." Absolutely,
absolutely. And she let you know. And she made it personal, you know what I mean? She started talking about her own family, and again, it's not often that I've been as proud as I've been of an elected official over these past weeks. Again, as one who lives here in Atlanta and knows people. As a matter of fact, the brother that we had on the show a few weeks ago, Ernie, the reporter, was out there in all of that madness. And he's been doing some excellent reporting. So there's that, and it's just so many other things that are going on right now. And I'm sure we'll talk about that at some point later. But how are you doing, my brother?
Listen, I am doing absolutely amazing. I just came back from the doctor today, had to do a check-in, got a once-over done. The doctor actually gave me a clean bill of health.
That is fantastic. That is fantastic.
You gotta take care of yourself. You know, not to say that I was concerned about anything about the COVID. It was just my annual checkups and things of that nature. But they did the blood work, did all the other necessary things, and everything came back just like, you know, phenomenal. Again, part of it, he was also telling me about my weight loss process. And for those who may not know, if you're watching, I used to be 450 pounds.
What?
Robert, why do we do this? Every time we have a new show, you learn something new about me.
What? I mean, bro, I know we've known each other now for about what, 9 years? I know you were a little heavy, a bit Robiness, as they would say. But I had no idea that's amazing, bro.
Yeah, so I'm down to 195.
A svelte 195.
Right, 195.
You know, that's why this T-shirt says "Getting Steady, Staying Sober, and Living Sane," because that's what I'm all about. You know, I was determined that I had to make some changes because of my health. I was going down that path. As many folks in our community, I'm gonna say our community, African Americans, we don't like to go to the doctor. We don't like to get the checkups. We always think we can eat everything. You know, everything that grandma ate, we can't always eat. And, and then also knowing that some of the stuff that grandma ate, it was not filled with all these other things.
Chemicals. Just get all this genetically modified, sprayed down.
There you go.
They ate whole real food out the backyard from their garden.
Exactly.
We eating prepackaged, bleached, all kinds of craziness.
So look, Ed, I'm curious to know, were you apprehensive at all about going to the doctor? Because, you know, I saw a ranking, and I think the doctor's office was like fairly low, fairly high in terms of possibly contracting the disease. So were you apprehensive at all about going to the doctor?
You know, I was okay with it. I was actually okay today. I like the fact that this is second time I've been out a couple times, you know, outside just going to the grocery store, but they were there. They did the pre-screening. As soon as you walk to the doctor's office, as soon as you hit the door. You know, they got nurses and things right at the door taking your temperature, asking you some of the pre-screening questions, like to see if you were even like a risk because of your health, like how you feeling today,
any cough,
right? You know what you got any fever. I mean, it was actually some of the preliminary questions before you could even get past the door.
Yeah.
And if you got past them, wherever you thought you was going, you got sent back.
Oh, wow.
No. If you ain't had a little sticker to say I've been cleared.
Screened, right?
Yes.
I went to the doctor last week. Yeah.
Oh, you did? So what is screen? So look, guys, I'm curious about this because I need to have some something done in my leg. So do they just hit you with the little temperature thing, or do they swab you, or
no? They do the scan. They put the temperature and they read your temperature. But also, you know, COVID is in a whole nother wing. They're not going to put you in the same area where the COVID patients are. Okay. You're not gonna. They're not crossing
so that. Me feel a little better.
Yeah. Now, if you go into the emergency room, I'm not sure. I'm sure they have a protocol in place for that, but yeah, no, you're not going to be.
There's nothing painful that's going to happen, like sticking that thing way up your nose, or
they got a smaller Q-tip now, so it should be
okay. Really?
Yeah, my friend just got screened. She said it wasn't so bad. The Q-tip is smaller.
Oh, okay. Well, I might be able to live with that then.
Yeah, so it wasn't bad at all. So, like I said, I mean, the doctors and nurses, they still had all and they still want you to come with your mask. They still highly encourage you to still have a mask on. So I had my mask on. The doctors and nurses had their mask on. He came in with his gloves. You know, we were doing the shoulder or the elbow bumps, you know, just to shake hands. I mean, it was. I mean, he put his gloves on to kind of do his, you know, his touching and probing how they do. But then everything else was good, and I was content. I was happy. Yay!
And a clean bill of health. That's good to hear, my brother.
That's the most important thing.
Absolutely. So Tia, how have you been?
I am doing well, very well. Been exploring the outdoors.
Really?
I think I probably go outside more than most will probably think, even though I work from home. So I took a walk today because it's a beautiful day, but we're actually planning a trip to go out of town. So we're going to Nashville for the 4th of July weekend.
You gonna drive?
Yeah, we're gonna drive. Yeah. Nashville's not a bad drive. It's like 7 hours, 8 hours. And
so are you staying in a hotel? You guys stay in a hotel?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Yeah. I'm still a little. I have still not gone any further than the grocery store and the gym.
Yeah.
A friend of mine tried to get me to do a bike ride. I'm like, it's not happening. I'm not ready for the bike.
I mean, at some point, we got to get to the point where Sweden is with the herd immunity. That's my thought process. At some point, we're going to have to come in contact with the virus, and we're going to have antibodies that have to fight it. So we can do this quarantining, you know, as much as you want, but eventually you're going to come in contact with the virus. I mean, because that's just how. It's so funny. I sat through a futurist did a presentation with us last week, and he was just talking about, he's like, pandemics have been around forever. This isn't new to the human condition. He's like, wherever there's human beings, there's viruses. Yeah. And it's a process on how we get through the virus. And he's just saying, he's like, this is coronavirus number 19. You know, it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. This is not the first coronavirus. And eventually our bodies have to develop an immunity. So yes, we want to take precautions. We want to be careful. But if you think you're about to quarantine for another 6 months, that's going to be foolishness, because eventually you're going to have to come in contact with the virus so that your body can learn how to fight the virus.
You know what's interesting, Tia? I was just before it was announced that this virus existed. It was the image boards, because I was on the way to LA.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I started to sweat profusely. I couldn't breathe. And it was still about maybe a half an hour to 45 minutes left of the flight. And I'm like, I'm not gonna make it.
Oh, wow.
And I wonder, could it have been that I was actually had some minor version of COVID?
Well, I think that's what's going to be the interesting thing when they finally get this antibody testing to be able to see who actually already has the antibodies. I think that's going to be the most interesting thing. It's just to see who actually has had it. And we just have developed some kind of immunity to it. I think we do need to keep our seniors safe, and the communities that are, yes, I think they definitely should still be quarantined. I wouldn't take my grandma, if she was still here anywhere. But I think we're about to keep this younger population in this summer, that's not gonna happen. No. It's just not gonna happen. They're not staying in. They're going out.
No, I agree. I mean, again,
I'm just thinking about, as you start to slowly evolve and get out, this is not, I'm not stretching anywhere, Robert. Robert's like, where is he going with this? Where is he going? So, hey, real quick, hit the like button, hit the share button, y'all. Hit the share button. Hit that share button. So I just been over here sharing to some different groups. But as we slowly start to move outside and maybe do a little exercise, do a little walking, still social distancing.
Yes,
Tia,
still social distancing.
Get ready for this graphic, Tia. I got this fundraiser happening on September 19th.
How the hell you go from social distancing to a fundraiser?
Because the fundraiser is about walking.
It's about social distance. Oh, okay, I get it.
It's about walking.
Okay.
It's about going.
I'm ready for you. I got you.
So I want you to go outside and do some walking. So listen, so y'all know, again, I'm part of the National Alumni Council. I represent, Tia and I, we both connected with UNCF, the United Negro College Fund. And because of this, we've had to do things a little bit different. So on September 19th, August 22nd, if you're watching in Detroit. So August 22nd in Detroit, but everybody else, September 19th, we are doing what we call our virtual walk for education to raise dollars, some unrestricted dollars for our 37 member institutions of UNCF. This is new for us. So like everyone else, the wrong thing is to do nothing, right? So we would like to invite you, to encourage you to be a part of our national virtual walk for education on August 22nd with Detroit, or September 19th with the rest of the country. And it's a virtual thing. Basically, we want you to go raise money. We want you to raise money to help send kids to and through the college, right? However, even though we're not able to physically have the traditional walk for education that we would normally have in New York or DC or Columbus or Chicago or Detroit or some other cities, we want you to be able to still maybe in a small, maybe 2 or 3 people, go to the park, maybe
take your family.
Take your family. Maybe you want to go to the gym and walk for like an hour, 30, 40 minutes on the treadmill.
On your Peloton.
And you can still record and document the times. So even Robert, when you got a gym in your own apartment complex, go walk on the treadmill for like 20 minutes.
Okay.
Capture that and document that, and you can be part of the walk for education.
Okay.
See,
I will keep that in mind.
So I just wanted to make sure I put it out there to let you all know that it's okay. If you don't want to walk, that's fine. You can just walk.
You can run.
You can run. If you want to ride your bike, I know. As a matter of fact, I want to go out and buy me a bike. I was thinking the other day, I want to buy a bike. So I'm looking.
Well, we're gonna ride our bikes because me and LaJuan and the kids, we had a bike, so we're gonna go ride.
Oh my God!
Well, I might do the elliptical.
Yeah.
See, so do about 20 minutes, 30 minutes to kind of whatever equates to a 5K, and let's come on and just do this and raise some money for UNCF. I need your help. I need your support. So if you're watching right now, so Tia, you got that flyer ready? You gonna put the graphic up for us, or we're gonna do it later?
We're gonna do it later.
Right.
But I want to piggyback on what you're saying, Anthony, because I think what people don't understand is that UNCF is providing scholarship dollars for students that are going to college. And I'm only specifying that to be very clear because we're not UNICEF, it's the United Negro College Fund. And at the scholarship dollar, students are still going to college in the fall. So I know we've got COVID, we got all this, but no matter what, these are schools, as they've been coming on to this show and been telling you, they're going to be ready for business come fall.
Absolutely.
These students still need help, and our institutions still need help to get ready for the fall term. So the UNCF is playing an important role in ensuring that those dollars for those students who are in need are still available, and for our institutions to have that backbone and that digital system and all the pieces in place in order to make it a successful launch to the fall term. So I just wanted to emphasize that, because I think, you know, our nonprofits are getting hit, and they're getting hit hard. And I'm talking about our arts institutions. I'm talking about our nonprofits. I'm talking about all those, you know, organizations that we give, United Way and American Cancer Society, American Heart Association. They're getting hit because they rely on donations from individuals. And because a lot of individuals aren't necessarily working or working all those hours, those donations aren't taking place. And then, of course, because of what's going on, companies are redirecting some of their dollars to go towards the efforts, you know, as far as helping people who are out of work and all that kind of thing. So I just wanted to emphasize that.
And speaking of the fall, tell me how you guys like this segue. There will also be on Saturday, July 25th.
There you go.
An HBCU, that's pretty good, right, Anthony? There will be an HBCU Facebook Live worldwide college fair. And your HBCU Live crew will be hosting that college fair. And what we're going to do, it'll be for those of you that remember what happened a few weeks ago with the celebrating the walk your walk, walk your walk, Barack Obama. Say again?
Show us your walk.
Show us your walk. It'll be comparable to that. We'll have a celebrity do the opening, other than Anthony H. Brown being a celebrity, being the celebrity that he is. But there's a graphic. So we'll have and we'll have some other celebrities, and then we'll have to do some different sessions, and then you'll be able to go. Now, this, guys, is what's scrolling is what Anthony was just talking about. So I don't want to get the two confused. Anthony, you want to tell them what they're looking at right now? Or Tia, you want to tell them what they're looking at?
It's actually our website. So it's uncf.org, where you can find out more information about building better futures one step at a time. Building better futures one step at a time. Someone asked me, well, Anthony, how did you even start losing weight? I just took that first step.
Absolutely.
I started walking. I mean, there were some other things I did, but I started walking first. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about this at the end of the show. But I'm glad T was able to bring it up a little bit just now. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about this virtual HBCU Facebook Live college fair on July 25th, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
But hey, you know, sometimes it's important that before I can even go and say, yes, I'm committing to a particular college, or before I even meet a recruiter at a college fair and I complete the application, you know what sometimes it's nice to do?
College tour, maybe?
Yeah, a college tour. Yes. How about that? Yes. So we got so what we have today, we have our good friend Mike White. He is one of the owner operators of a company by the name of Dream Big Youth Travel Incorporated. They host college tours. Now, Mike is actually a graduate of Hampton University by way of Central State University.
Ohio.
Right. So
Oh,
I always got to find a way to connect, Ohio in there somewhere. And so he and his wife they're working on this initiative, this project. They've been doing it for several years, where they saw a need to really expose our young people, not just at the high school level. They are actually exposing students on these college tours down at the elementary level to really expose them. They do 1 day, 3 day, 5 day, 8 day tours around the country. They do both. They do some PWIs as well, but today we're gonna focus just on the HBCUs. We're gonna just talk about us and our family. So we're gonna talk about that. So I know Mike is logging in now. as he gets ready to, to have a conversation and talk. He's going to turn his microphone on and turn his camera on so we can have him be part of this conversation. Hey, Mike, welcome.
Hey, sorry about that.
Mike has that radio voice, y'all.
Welcome. Yeah, he does.
You think so?
Radio bass.
Yeah. Well,
so Mike, I'm doing all this lead up, prepping the audience about who you are and what you do. Welcome to the show. Thank you for being a part of HBCU Experience. It's not just a show.
It's an experience.
It really is. So let's talk about your experience. And first, let's just take a quick jump. Let's just jump right into it. Talk about Dream Big Youth Travel and why you and your wife thought it was just a need to have and to create.
Okay. Well, we moved to Atlanta in 2000 from Virginia. And my first teaching job was at a school in Clayton County, and I had freshmen. And I realized that my students had not been exposed to the different colleges that were around. Actually, my first tour back in 2000 was to Virginia State, Virginia Union, Norfolk State, and Hampton University, where I went. We also did DC. We toured DC as well. Every year we would go to a different city with those high school freshmen. And my thing was, we definitely wanted to expose students. We would tell students, you can always come home, but we want you to see what's out there. And in many cases, students they fell in love with other cities and with those college campuses and different things like that. And then I moved to another high school. I taught 3 years at that particular school. I had seniors at the new school, and they were first generation college applicants. So in many cases, it was a new process for them, first person in their family going to college. And what we did was at first, we were just exploring the cities and the campuses, but I went into more detail with those high school seniors. And what we also would do was I would have them fill out college applications. And that's where I met Rob, where we were filling out the HBCU Common App. Many of my students got scholarships. They received a number of acceptance letters through the HBCU Common App or the Black Common App. I still tell people about it. I mean, I remember a young lady telling me I applied on a Wednesday, and by that Friday, she had received information from those schools, those colleges through that application. So we were excited about it. I taught at schools that were mostly free and reduced lunch, but we were able to secure millions of dollars of scholarships and grants with those students as well. Well over $3 million while I was a teacher of those seniors. So we average now about 60 college campuses a year. We start as early as second grade with local tours. We start taking fifth graders overnight to different colleges in different cities as well. And our thing was exposure. We want them to see what's out there. As I said, you can always come home, but we want you to see what's out there. I never got that when I was growing up in Ohio. I never got to visit colleges and so forth. So
well, wait a minute now. You made me, because you were from Dayton, so you at least had Central State and Wilberforce.
I had Central State and Wilberforce. The only reason that I went to Central State is my cousin was an All-American basketball player, so I was on that campus. But none of my counselors at high school ever really talked to us about those things. My older brothers went to Morehouse and Spelman, and we just had a conversation about how the counselor, my brother told his counselor he wanted to be an attorney, and she said, you probably would work better with your hands and so forth. And this was in the 80s when they were in school. So, those were the kind of things that we were receiving when we were going through school. So I said, once I become an educator, that's never going to happen with my students. Even if they don't want to go to school, I always tell them you have 5 choices. You can either go to college, military, work, and typically that's minimum wage. You could stay at home with your parents, or you can do some dirt and get in trouble. Those are your 5 choices. So we want you to either go that ROTC or military route, or a technical school, or a 4-year traditional school, or go out and work. But basically what we really wanted them to do was push them towards the college.
Wow. Mike, let me ask you this. Studies suggest that
Hey, Robert, real quick. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry, Robert. I just remembered. I got to go to Portland,
gotta go.
Oregon.
Right.
I got to go to Portland, Oregon real quick, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. Talk amongst yourselves. Have a great conversation. Mike, I'll be back. Tia and Mike, I'll be back. Got to run over to Portland. Listen to me, got to run to Portland, Oregon real quick. I love this technology, y'all.
Trailblazers.
I know, right? I'll be back.
So Mike, like I was saying, the college visit, study suggests, is one of the most influential factors for students when deciding what college to attend. How are you adjusting, or how do you think, more importantly, how do you think the students that you would have typically serviced are adjusting to not having the opportunity to tour these various college campuses and potentially having to make a decision to attend a particular school without having ever been on that campus?
Well, it puts them behind the 8 ball. It's very difficult for them. My thing is, if you're not walking that campus, you're really not seeing the culture of that campus. And I'll give you an example. Many of our students love the big name schools that we would visit until we got there and they realized, you know what, this is not the atmosphere. It's not a welcoming atmosphere for me. Some of those larger schools, it's just not it. I'm not going to call out certain schools, but there are certain schools that I tell students they're not really student friendly towards you. And just because they have all the bells and whistles and the big name, it's not a right fit for you. But right now it's very difficult for students. What we're looking at doing are we see a lot of these virtual tours that's going on,
Right.
but we have some things in the works where we're going to do some live virtual tours.
And you know what, Mike, I'm glad you say that because I've been a part of, not as a company necessarily, but just gone on to see what some of these virtual tours are doing. And it's a little disappointing to see what some of the schools are offering, basically just a video that they may have filmed years ago. Whereas I can only hope that potentially you guys are looking at something where somebody's actually walking that campus.
I think it's so easy now. I mean, you don't even have to have any, huge camera or a gimbal. You just have a nice tripod that balances itself and just say, hey, this is the student center. Oh my goodness. So you open up. Like, I don't understand why that's so lost on some of. And
that's what we're getting ready to do. I talked to one of my students. He's a local high school grad here from Westlake High School. He's a Georgia Tech grad recently. We're going to do live. I Mark Atlanta. I have Morehouse and Spelman and Georgia State for my former students, and we're going to go live, just like you all said, where we're going to do 10 walking, 5 questions, 10 walking, 5 questions. I'm giving out my ideas, but that's what we're going to do where the students can actually feel like they're on campus. Nothing is going to be pre-recorded.
Right.
It's going to be live.
That's
so
perfect.
We want to give them that actual feel that they're on that campus.
And Mike, I know you're in touch with a fair amount of students. What impression are you getting from them with all that's going on now as relates to Black Lives Matter? If some majority schools were not receptive before, they certainly may not be receptive now, or at least you can see that. Are you finding that students are more interested in attending HBCUs now than perhaps they would have been in the past?
Definitely. My son put the first HBCU only college tour together for his high school, first ever. And we did North Carolina A&T, Hampton, Howard, and basically a number of those students are going to HBCUs. But I've always pushed for, especially athletes, even when I was in college, I felt that they should go to our schools because the obvious reason they're using their bodies to make money or whatever. But a lot of these students, because of this climate, they're pushing and going, and their parents are looking for them to go to those HBCUs because they feel safer there. I tell students, hey, you have a Black student union, but you're at a HBCU, you don't need that. You're there amongst your peers. My son is going to Howard in the fall, and a lot of his classmates are going to Howard, A&T, Norfolk State, Grambling, different schools, and some are staying here locally in FAMU and so forth. But the thing is, they're pushing towards those HBCUs. Now, what we do have to do is talk to some of these parents a lot of times, because they, in some cases, they feel that I've been told, my mom said it's not the real world. And I tell them, hey, if you go to UGA, you're less than 3 and 4%. That's not the real world either for people, African Americans and people in color. So we want you to really consider, is this going to be the right fit for you and welcoming for you? There's a school in Alabama that big school, big football school, but it's not welcoming
Be careful. There's some serious people in Atlanta from Alabama that probably have some ideas to what school you're referring to. But look, I'm gonna tell you,
right down the street to Tuskegee, in the students.
There you go. Absolutely.
They'll ask them what they're doing instead of getting that look of disdain. And I tell students, do you notice the difference?
Right.
They're welcoming, and some schools just aren't. And do you want to put yourself through that 4 years of dealing with that kind of situation where you feel like you're kind of the stepchild on the campus and so forth?
But one of the things that I had a very interesting conversation with a parent yesterday, and she was, I forget where her son was going, but it was, I forget where it was, but it's probably 2 or 3 states away for sure. And she was like, Rob, I'm not sure I'm going to let my son go now. Because if something happens, I want him close to me. Are you finding that parents are having that same, it's not the kids, it's not the students, they're ready to go. But it was the parent who said, I haven't told my son yet, and I haven't made a decision. I paid all of the necessary deposits, but I'm not convinced that I'm going to allow my child to go. Are you finding that there are parents out there that have that same sentiment?
Yes. And over the years, it's been that way. I've had a number of students who have received full rides to go out of state, and their parents said, that's too far away. I'm not letting you go. I mean, full scholarships. Had one student who was full scholarship and they were going to pay them to go, and their mom said, no, that's too far. I don't think you're mature enough, or it's something with safety and different things like that. But I tell them, hey, you could be down 2 hours away and something could happen. So if that child is not happy at that school, in most cases, they're not going to thrive. So you want to make sure that they're happy at that school. I'll tell you this. I had a young man, his mom wanted him to go to Georgetown. He ended up going there. Great kid, almost had a perfect SAT score, had a 4.0. He played on my basketball team when I was a teacher, but he never finished at Georgetown. Albany State said, we would give you a full ride and we'll pay you and give you a laptop. But his mom controlled that aspect of where he was going, and he was never happy. And it was a culture shock going to Georgetown from North Clayton High School, where it was all African-American students, mostly, maybe 95%. And I know he had Howard there, but he never left home. So
what advice do you give those parents? How do you share with them and you know, not necessarily convince them, but share with them the importance and the value of that experience and allowing their child to get out of that comfort zone?
Well, I'll say this. I'll give you an example. We were touring Duke University years ago, and it was the summertime. And I had high school students, and I looked at, and there were middle school students walking around. It was a summer program, summer bridge program. And I told my high school students, I said, see, they've been doing this since middle school. And it's a shock for us. Oh, I'm homesick, I'm this, I'm that, because we started kind of late with that. But what I would tell parents is you have to trust what you've instilled in that child when they go off to school. You've raised that child, they've done well enough to get into school and do the different things. We're all gonna make mistakes, but if you hinder that child from their future, they might basically be upset with you or hold that grudge against you because you kind of stifled their dream of going to their dream school. And if they don't do well, they're blaming you as a parent. Could have just basically said, you know what, we have social media now. I can check on you. When I was in college, I had to either call on the phone at home, and if I didn't pay my roommate to pay our phone bill on time, I had to go out to the phone booth at the corner and so forth. Now you have FaceTime and all those different things to check on your child to make it a lot easier for you to check in on them as well. But you're gonna have to let your child blossom away from you in many cases. And some of these students are in life and death situations. If they don't leave home,
absolutely,
they're going to have some issues.
Absolutely. And Tia, can you do me a favor? Mo Robinson is asking a question.
I was going to get to her question. So she wanted to know, and now she's in the Facebook comments. She says, do you think it may be that some parents fear that their child is getting something they didn't experience? So fear is making them keep their kids home. Absolutely. She said, I've experienced that in talking to parents when exposing them to HBCUs.
Yes. I've had those situations as well where I've actually had parents sabotage that child. I had a student who was being taken care of by his aunt and uncle, had a full scholarship to Savannah State. I even offered to help him move there, but the guardians were like, no, we're not going to allow you to go there. And those are the kind of situations that you have, but you do have parents that when I used to have, I had them fill out applications in the FAFSA in class. We would go to the media center. I just wanted them to be familiar with the FAFSA. I had parents that would not give that information up when it came to their Social Security, different things, because they were getting, I said they can get $5,500 free month. But a lot of times it's because we haven't educated them with the school system. My thing is, if I'm in a school system, there was one time I was going to do parent college tours locally. So we could talk to the parents and let them know, okay, these are the things that your student is going to go through. And these are the questions they're going to have, whether it's financial aid, whether it's room and board and different things. So they could get a better understanding if they never attended college before. This is what your child is going to go through. And a lot of times our counselors are just not, I taught at a school where we had over 2,000 students, but we only had 5 counselors. So that's one of the main reasons I stepped in to make sure that my students were doing the different things they needed to do to get their college applications in. In many cases, our counselors aren't trained to help you get to get to college, basically. So
let me ask you this. I'm kind of curious to know. I would assume that you have been witness to some fairly healthy debates on these buses after these college tours, and probably even had some kids that were on the debate team to express their positions in a way that could be fairly impressive. So I would be curious to know what kinds of things would you typically hear after visiting a number of HBCUs, a number of majority schools. You guys are on the way home. I would imagine some of those debates could potentially, between the students, could potentially get fairly heated. Has that been the case at all?
Well, I'll say we've not necessarily on the trip per se talking to me, but I'll say I know when I was a teacher, I remember a top student going to a HBCU and some of the other classmates were telling them, why would you take your talents to an HBCU when you can go to a PWI?
Wow.
And I remember the student said, I've proven myself here while I was in high school. I don't want to have to go to college and have to and prove myself over again. I'm a great student. I want to be, she said, I want to be, I can't think of the word that she said, but she said, I don't want to have to prove myself. I really want to be celebrated when I go off to college. And that's why I chose the HBCU over a PWI. And it pretty much shut some of those other students up when it came to that particular debate. And she's doing very well now. I even have a good friend from Hampton, and his son is a stellar track star. Ivy League, Big Ten, different things like that. It was either UVA or Hampton, which we were talking, and basically he was saying, my son has this Ivy League opportunity, and I feel funny if I don't allow him to experience
take
that.
advantage of it, yeah.
But this is what his sisters and his older siblings all went to HBCUs, and he talked to them about the difference between the Ivy League education, and they're attorneys. So what his older brothers or older sisters said was, if you go to those Ivies, it's about networking, and it's not networking for us in most cases. So, and she also said, most of my friends who went to those Ivies are making maybe less than my HBCU graduates who are attorneys and different things. So it's who you know, and in a lot of cases, they're not opening those doors for us at certain schools where they're networking like they would at an HBCU.
And I think it's important that students know, it's like, so nothing's going to stop you if you want to go to, a PWI after you got your bachelor's. If you want to go apply to Harvard and get your master's or your PhD or Yale, go right ahead. But I think when you go to HBCU, it lays a foundation, and you realize the old saying, I know what I know, you know what you know, and you know it. So when you go there, you already have that confidence, that self-assurance that I'm in the right place and I'm growing my educational careers and values to another level.
Definitely agree.
So Mike, when you think about, again, and in the interest of full disclosure, I've seen Mike grow this business because when we met, you were still a school teacher, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
So to see you do what you've done over the past, how long has it been now?
I left the classroom in 2009. We started the business in 2003.
Okay.
But I can only take my students and the students who were in my school. So when I left in 2009, we were able to go Metro, Atlanta. We were able to go to New Orleans, Florida, Ohio, different places where we were able to reach more students that needed that exposure.
So let me ask you this. I am one to believe, or I'm starting to witness, that HBCUs are probably far more inclined, for lack of a better phrase, I'm gonna say fall victim to the vicissitudes of the body politic. And I use that term for somebody else, they're like, what the hell is a body politic? But all that's going on around us. Because a lot of our schools don't have a quote unquote marketing budget. It took the Cosby efforts and those kinds of things to drive traffic to our schools. Like now, it's taking all this going on with Black Lives Matter to potentially drive traffic to our schools. I remember getting a call from the press last year, 2 years ago, and they were asking me, are we starting to see an influx of students going to HBCUs as a result? You remember it was a couple years ago, they were having all of those racial incidents on majority campuses. What do we need to do, or what do you see that could potentially be done by our HBCUs so that we don't fall victim to those undulations? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that marketing and exposure is very important. It's difficult because of the we're hit the hardest a lot of times as colleges and universities when there's a issue. I remember them saying with that plus loan situation under the Obama administration, cut down some of the students being able to go, and that hurt some of the HBCUs. But I think, I'll say this, I think a lot of our educators who attended HBCUs, or even if they didn't, they need to start. I used to take my students to HBCU homecomings all the time as youngsters. That exposure made them think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And we're going. I had a young man.
HBCU homecomings to know that's not fair. You take a kid to an HBCU homecoming, there's no way in hell they're going anywhere else other than that school.
My thing is, when they see that kind of exposure, and I'll tell you this, my students would tell me, Mr. White, you're the first person to talk to us in detail about college, and this is their senior year.
Yeah,
my issue is with educators who are only caring about those test scores. And I used to tell students, you're not going to major in what I'm teaching, so I'm going to make sure that you apply to at least 6 colleges. I need those 2 letters of recommendation. And I would walk them through the essays and get all their different things. And we would always use the Common Black application as well. But my thing was, as educators, as a community, we have to help our schools. I had a student, they wrote him a $180,000 check his senior year.
Wow.
It was either Morehouse or the Naval Academy. His senior year, second semester, he's like, Mr. White, I've never even been to Morehouse.
Wow.
So I had to load up my SUV, take him and his friends over there, and because of none of the exposure. And then a lot of our schools are not allowing kids to take college tours. If you want students to be exposed and you say you're a college prep school, you have to start exposing them to those college campuses and so forth at an early age. And that's why when I started in elementary, when we first started doing elementary tours, counselors would fight me on that and say, they're too young, they're too young.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying they can play sports, right? They can play music, they can entertain. Right. So why are they too young to be exposed to a college campus at that age? So now we do more elementary and middle than we do high school.
And you should. And that's where it needs to start. I will say this. I know there's someone on the chat from the Naval Academy, so it's kind of interesting that you would mention them. So a couple other things real quick that I want to ask before we let you go. Tia, I'm assuming we put Mike's information in the chat, correct?
Yes. I'll put your website in the chat. And also, we do have one question in the chat that from Tamara. She wants to know which HBCUs have gone test optional for the upcoming season. So I'm not sure if that's directed to. I
can send that to her if you can get her email address and have her email me.
Okay.
I'll get that information to her.
Mike, do you have profiles of the institutions that you visit on your website?
Yes, we have. For instance, we'll do FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, Florida State together. We'll do Savannah State, Georgia Southern. We typically do them in clusters, and we typically do, say it's a 2-day tour. If it's a 2-day tour, we're going to visit probably 4 colleges.
Okay.
If it's a 3-day, we're going to do 6 colleges, depending on if we're going to tour that city. And not only do we tour those colleges, but we have fun too. When we're in Miami at the HBCU down in Miami, we'll go to South Beach. We'll go to the park and different things like that as well. So the kids we take them to the Everglades and kids get to see alligators up close and personal. So not only do we do that with the colleges, but they also get to visit the different sites in the city as well.
And if you guys are wondering what's on the screen, Tia has put up Dream Big's website so that you guys can kind of see what's going on. And Mike, you want to talk a little bit about the fact that not only do you do college tours, but you also do, for lack of a better phrase, I'll just call it tourist attractions, right?
Yeah. We do end-of-year trips where if they want to, we partner with Universal Studios. They have some STEM programs down there for the students as well. We also do Washington, D.C., New York sites, Los Angeles from here as well. They get to see the colleges, but we do Beverly Hills, Roscoe Chicken and Waffles.
Wait a minute, bro. When did y'all start going to LA? Mike, we lost you.
Do a Broadway play, 9/11.
So wait a minute, bro. Wait a minute.
Perform on Apollo Theater.
When did y'all start going to LA?
That is awesome.
That's huge. That's cool.
Because I think it lends, it's like, it's about the university, but it's also about the life that surrounds the university. Yeah. And, you know, I really believe I wasn't ready to leave home when I was applying for college, but I love big city life. So if you put me in a country setting, I probably just would have died. Right. But definitely I'm a city girl, so I need that energy of life. And I think it gives the students such a well-rounded perspective on what's surrounding them and what they actually enjoy and what they don't enjoy.
I agree a lot. And I didn't answer, but I don't know the person that was asking about the test scores. Just to back up for a second. The vast majority of the schools that I have talked to and the vast majority of the schools on the Common Black College application, which with Anthony not being here, I will do the shameless plug, which you can still apply to all 55 HBC. Is he here?
He's here.
He's here just in time to do the shameless plug, bro. You want to give him your link?
What we talking about?
We're talking about your link. You want to give him your link to the CBCA?
Oh, sure. We can drop it in the chat right now. Let's go over there. Listen, y'all got me all
timing is perfect, bro.
Y'all got me all over the country today.
So for those of you who don't know, Anthony had to take a brief hiatus, whatever.
Commercial break.
Commercial break.
A pause for the call.
To go to Portland. He's international, y'all. He's international. Portland today, Paris tomorrow, Amsterdam the next day. Who knows where else he'll be?
I know, right?
But he's you got it there. You pulling it up.
It's in there right now.
So you want to do your thing, brother?
All right. So okay. Hold on. Let me get back. Let me come back in the conversation.
You're doing the same as the plug. There you go. Who's that handsome guy right there?
Oh my God.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, if you did not know, you can apply to college. Robert Mason has made applying to college so much easier, affordable access. Right there at your fingertips. You can do it on your phone, on your tablet, on your laptop. It takes maybe 10, 15 minutes tops. Again, I just dropped the link in the chat just a few seconds ago. Again, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune said it best. Hey, Vanessa Sparks from New York City. Listen, I have already, by the way, side note, I've been to New York City this morning. Then I'm in Atlanta right now with Robert. I just went to Portland, Oregon, back in Atlanta. Man, this Zoom situation has got me all over the place. But anyway, the Common Black College application, one test score, one transcript. One application, one test score, one transcript. All of that. Now, unlike the other application, not going to give them no names, we're not trying to give them no more additional energy than what they already need. Like the other application, no disrespect to them, because some of our HBCUs are there. So I'm equal opportunity. However, this application, all 55 schools have immediate access to the transcript. All 55 schools have immediate access to the transcript. So that way a student can upload their transcript, their test scores, all that at one time. They can then communicate with a counselor right there through the portal system. There are some scholarship opportunities and links within the portal they can apply for right then. Even more, right now, for a limited time only, if you just graduated from the class of 2020 and you still have not made your final decisions, we found out that many of our HBCUs doors are still open. Yes, like the church, the doors are still open.
Like the church.
And you can come on in anytime. We got a seat with your name on it, trust and believe. Whether you want to sit virtually in the brick and mortar space or you want to sit in a virtual space, we got a seat with your name on it right now. So you can still apply to school for the class of 2020 and anybody from the class of 2021. Right now, for a limited time, only from now until at least August. We're going to see how long Robert will keep this going. But right now, we're going to just say to August, you can apply for all 55 schools for the low cost of $20. That's it. That's all. Now, where can you go and apply to 55 schools for $20? Many of us, we probably went to school and probably spent $35, $40 on one application. Here, you can do 55 at $20. It's a steal. It's a bargain. It's an opportunity. You want to take advantage of it right now. So the link is in the chat. Right there. Hey, someone asked the question. Well, I want to support a student. No problem. We got you. You can sponsor a student right now if you want. If you know a high school senior, you know somebody who can benefit from this. You don't have any kids of your own, but you want to help somebody else from the neighborhood. The young man who cuts your grass, the young lady who who works in your neighborhood. I don't know. Support them. You can go on the same link that I just put in the chat right now. You can pay the $20 and you can provide that student with that code for options and opportunity right now. So often, I know many of you all see on the news where you see all these students got accepted to 45, 50 schools, and they got $1 million, $1.5 million in scholarship offers. In most cases, in just about every one of those cases, if it's a bunch of HBCUs on the list, they use this application. They don't tell it up front. Robert has to do the homework and find, like, hey, did you use this application? Yeah, I did. We need to get your picture. So I've been ranting long enough. Just want to let you all know that, again, you got to go check out the list. See if your favorite HBCU is on the list. I already know mine is. So if you want to apply to Bethune-Cookman, certainly you can apply to the Bethune and 54 other institutions in a snap. Real simple. Y'all go and get it done.
Yes, thanks so much, Anthony. And
Sure.
Just before we close, Mike, is it anything that you want to share with our listening audience, because it's not a show?
It's an experience.
It's an experience. Is it anything, Mike, that you want to share? I know that we didn't, and what I want to do, Mike, I want to bring you back to talk about this business venture that you and your wife, or you could take maybe 30 seconds to kind of talk about that, and we could bring you back at some point and go a bit more in depth.
Can I talk about the school that we're opening?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
We're opening a K-5.
Okay.
If you're in the Metro Atlanta, East Point, College Park area, we're opening K-5. It will be entrepreneur based. They will learn, of course, the basic courses. We'll have coding. We'll have culinary arts. We'll have some technical things. I'm a hands-on type of person. We'll have a number of projects, but I believe that entrepreneurship is very important. If I'm teaching literature, I need to teach those students how to take and write and publish a book. If I'm teaching math, I want them to learn how to code and do different things with numbers, social studies, different things like that. I'm not just teaching just for teaching's sake. We want to teach so you can take things to market or change your community. So that's where we're coming from, and we believe. I taught high school, but that foundation, I think, will springboard students to another level, and that's why we wanted to start with the kindergartners up to 5th grade.
Mark, we're definitely gonna have to bring you back at some point to talk more about that. That is phenomenal, and I'd like to hear a bit more about that myself.
Dream Big Academy.
Yeah, I'd like to hear a bit more about that myself as time goes on. But again, man, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show. We've known each other for some time, and we've kind of grown our businesses together.
Definitely.
And again, I cannot say how much I've been impressed with what you've been able to do, your level of integrity, your commitment to our students. And as you know, if it's anything that I could do, I'm always here for you. And by the way, Mike will be one of the presenters during our different HBCU Live College Fest. So again, Mike, thanks so much, man. Take care.
Hey, Robert, I want to say that to Mike. You know, Amanda Mormon said, Mike, you are inspiration and beyond a great educator, So let you all know that. And then someone asked the question. We'll let you know that first. You know, you got you a shout out from Amanda. Yay. Here's a question. I don't know if this was anybody I don't know if it was a part of the conversation that you all had, but someone said, how can I find out how financially stable school is? I don't know if that was something you all talked about.
No, we didn't.
Or Yolanda, if that's a question that we can answer or research and get back to you. So let us know. So
yeah. We might, because Anthony, that might be one better suited for you.
Okay.
As far as, you know, with what you do with HBCUs and where they are. Amanda, we'll definitely do some research and get back to you in the chat, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yes, because we are out of time, gentlemen.
Wow. So Mike, hey, thank you so very much. It's been a pleasure. I know it's been fun, but you got to run. We will talk to you. We'll see. If we don't talk to you before then, we'll definitely see you on July 25th. Okay, sir?
July 25th. Okay. Thank you all.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
So, wow, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. I am so sorry again that I had to dart out of here. You know, sometimes we get these calls and they come so quick. They came less than 24 hours ago. Really, it was less than 24 hours ago. We got the phone call that that the state representatives in Portland, Oregon, wanted us to come. You know, wanted Robert and myself to come speak, and somehow or another, Robert just like, oh yeah, great, Anthony, I'm gonna do it. So, yeah, so that's
all those fails.
You know, that's where we are. So I'm glad I have the energy and the stamina because I lost weight. I can do these kinds of things. I mean, you see, I just slip that in there real quick. So again, we talked about earlier in the show about, again, supporting the virtual UNCF Walk for Education. We'll talk a little bit more about that next week. We'll give you a little bit more information about the HBCU Back to School College Fair that we're going to do on Facebook. On July 25th, we'll kind of go in a little bit more detail about that as well. Next week, we hope to bring on a student. I love when we bring the students on. So we're gonna see if we can try to get a student that has been accepted to go to one of our HBCUs this fall, who actually used the Common Black College application, so we can be able to give him or her some shine and some love, you know, on them and maybe mom or dad or something like that. Thank you for all who have been watching and sharing and all that other fine, phenomenal things that we do. Hey, if you're not also part of the HBCU Alumni United page, if you're an alum of an HBCU, we'd love for you to come and join the HBCU Alumni United page. Right now, again, we started off in 2007. We're over 62,000 members strong. Wow. We are now conducting a campaign to raise money for various HBCUs. This week on deck, we are raising money and celebrating and acknowledging Alabama A&M University, Allen University, and Southern University at New Orleans. So those are the three schools that we are lifting up and encouraging and supporting this week. So we're inviting alumni and family, friends, whomever who wants to support. So again, you can find us on, actually you can find the campaigns under HBCU Alumni United Cares, because we do care about all of our institutions. We really do. So we're gonna go all this campaign from July 1 to December 31st. I feel like all I'm doing is shameless plugs all day long. Robert, anything else?
No, that's it, my brother. It's so good to have you back. Guys, everybody out there, take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Oh, by the way, don't forget to join your boys Saturday, 11 a.m. for the old school workout. Myself and TD Wiggles, sponsored by TD Wiggles Personality Teams. What you doing, man?
I'm just laughing at your workout, y'all. His workout, y'all.
Hey, bro, we have fun doing it. Tina, is there anything that you wanted to share before we sign off?
No, I'm done.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun, but we got to run. This has been another great show for June 16, 2020. Hey, go back and share this. Now we are now uploading this show to our YouTube, so look out for those links so we can be able to share this with other people. Until next time, it's been fun, but we got to run. Shoot for the moon. You miss, you will always be amongst the stars. Until next time, make time and take time for what another look in life has to offer just for you. Know that you are a masterpiece. Why? Because you are a piece of the master. And my last one is, I want to remind you that nothing is impossible. Why? Because you can look in the mirror every day and remind yourself, I'm possible. Hey, y'all, we out of here. Till next time, this has been the HBCU Live. It's not a show.
It's an experience.
It's an experience.
Take care, guys.